Hello and welcome to I Am Well podcast. I'm your host Gemma, a nutritionist and a hormonal fasting coach, passionate about self-development through a holistic lens. But my biggest mission is to help empower women and get them to reconnect and trust their bodies again. So if you're a woman who just wants to better herself and live her best life, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. Today we are going to talk about why you keep falling off track and how to get back on the cycle, how to get back to succeeding in what it is that you want to succeed in. And we've all gone through this, right? We've all given ourselves a task and been like, I'm going to do this year. I mean, how many times has someone set a New Year's resolution saying, I'm going to get super healthy, I'm going to lose all this weight, I'm going to save all this money, I'm going to get my dream job, I'm going to book this holiday. I've done it before, we've all done it. And if you haven't, I don't believe you. But anyway, I want to get stuck into why this happens. I want to get down to the human psychology behind it. I always find it fascinating studying human psychology. And so first off, I want to completely validate your feelings. This is so normal. And as I said, I like getting down to the human psychology of it because there's a reason why this is happening. And I'm going to give you a few different research articles that have explained on why this is happening, and it might actually surprise you. And it's going to really help you understand more about yourself and understand how to keep going and how to motivate you. Not just motivate you, but inspire you to achieve the goals that you really want to achieve. So let's get stuck into it. First off, I want to go into this concept of the long-term and the short-term goals. I feel like any course that you start or any dream that you have, someone's always like, okay, you're going to need some short-term goals and you're going to need some long-term goals. So they get you to write them down and you're feeling so inspired. You're like, yes, this is what I want to achieve weekly and this is what I want to achieve long term. Now, the long term is there to motivate you. That's your end goal, right? I want to lose this weight. I want to save all this money. I want to book this trip. That's your end goal. That's like what's going to inspire you to keep going. Then you've got your short-term goals and they're going to motivate you to achieve what you want to achieve on a weekly basis, because obviously if you just had your long-term goals, there is no way knowing you're going to want to keep going. You need something that is going to inspire you right now. You know, if you are wanting to lose weight, maybe buying yourself a new piece of clothing when you hit a certain milestone, whether that's like 0.5 of a gram or something. I want to establish though, people think that all you need is to just have willpower and that you won't succeed without willpower. I feel like most people who find trying to create this into a habit, because like what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, you're trying to create it as a habit so that it just becomes second nature. So you working out 4 times a week is just the norm. It's nothing, like you're not pushing yourself anymore. It's just literally your lifestyle. That's what the goal is, right? And there's been studies that kind of show sometimes this can happen for people. If they continuously do something, it could happen after 30 days. But for an average, it takes someone at least 3 months to make something that you're doing consistently each day into a habit. But people who succeed long-term don't necessarily, that doesn't mean that they have willpower. It just means that they've formed these strong habits and they've done them consistently. And consistently, that is the key word here. That's what I want to get into. Because people just keep thinking that, oh, I just don't have motivation. I'm just not good enough. I just don't have the willpower to keep going. That's not what it is. All those people that you are seeing that are succeeding out there, they weren't the smartest in the room. They didn't work the hardest. They just showed up every day. They were just consistent. Yeah, they might have had a minor setback here and there, but then they showed up again the next day. You don't need to be the smartest. If you want to start up your own business and you want it to be super successful, The thing that you need to understand is you just have to be consistent. You just have to keep showing up. It's not going to, most likely, it's not going to happen overnight. Yes, you've seen circumstances where it has happened overnight, but can we stop comparing ourselves to those people? Because those people, that's out of the norm. Not saying that it's completely impossible, but that's not the norm. I don't want you to compare yourself to that anymore because it just puts you down. Start remembering that the majority of people that you see out there that have succeeded, they just didn't stop. They just kept going. And I also want to make it clear that there is a difference between just keep going to working harder. I'm not saying that each day you need to work harder than the day before. No, because that ends up creating burnout. I'm saying you just need to keep showing up and keep being consistent. And the reason why people give up is because this is uncomfortable for us and our body. Our body is used to a certain way. Our body and our mind, we are used to living the life that we have lived so far now. So if you're a person that always wakes up at 6 and then you leave at 7 for work and you get to work at say 8 o'clock and you start your work day from 8. But then you're like, I want to get up an hour early, do my meditation or do a quick workout at 5 a.m. And you set that goal for yourself and you do it the first day and then you give up the next day and then you think, oh, well, it's not for me. I can't do that. That's not true. It's just your body only getting up at 6 a.m. It doesn't know how to get up at 5. If you actually just pushed and got up at 5 a.m. each day and just kept going for 3 months, doing it for 3 months, it actually changes your brain's chemistry to think that is the standard now. So your new norm will be getting up at 5. And this is actually what happens to parents naturally. Because you have a baby, right? Before you had the baby, maybe you were getting up at 6, maybe you're getting up at 7. Now you've got a baby and now you're up, say, every 2 hours, or when the baby's older, you're up now at like 5 a.m. each day. This always happens when you go away on holidays or anything like that and you don't have the baby with you, you don't have your kids with you, you still end up getting up at an earlier time. It's because your body has been trained to get up at that time. Sometimes you don't. My problem is I don't need an alarm anymore. My body naturally wakes up at that time. And that's not to say like, oh, go me. Like I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. No, that's because I've got kids and my kids have trained my body and my mind to get up that time every single day. It has become habitual, and that is the key here. Consistency is the key. I saw something somewhere where it showed, I think it was the owner of Microsoft, and they were actually talking about this, about how he wasn't the smartest person in the world to design that. There were so many more people around him that could have created that program. But the thing was, he was the person that he showed up each day and he just kept going each day. And every time he got a no, or every time it didn't work out to his liking, he kept trying, he kept going. So it's not about what's working, what's not. It's about the fact that you keep showing up even when it's not working. You see what goes wrong, you see what's not working, you try again and you come back. It's that consistency that is going to make all the difference. So another thing when it comes to consistency is people think if you show up each day and you become consistent at it, that requires self-control. But I'm here to actually break that myth, because I found a research paper that actually said, they did a study on this and they got people who had really high self-control and then they got people who didn't. And like, to get people like this, obviously you need to go through rigorous tests and things. But it actually surprised them in this study because they thought they wanted to create habits within these people. So they got them to do this certain activity. I think it was morning walks or something like that each day. And so that by 3 months' time, it would become habitual. And they had people with very high self-control and they had people with very low self-control. And they thought that the people with higher self-control were ultimately going to be better at this. But they were actually really surprised because it showed that it was actually the people who just were consistent would develop that self-control. But this isn't necessarily the people that had high self-control in the end. In fact, it was actually the people with the lower self-control were more able to build those strong habits if they just kept being consistent at it. So it just proved that it doesn't matter about self-control. It just matters about if you can just show up. Stop putting yourself into a box and talking yourself out of it and saying, I have little self-control. Because there's tests out there to prove that this doesn't even matter even if you are telling yourself this. So that breaks that myth for you. Another thing that people most often complain about is mind wandering and procrastination, right? So this is a big one because people start a goal and then all of a sudden they start thinking about other things and they go off topic, and before you know it, they've stopped trying anymore. And I'm going to call you out on this if you do this, but I see a lot of people that claim to have ADHD. Either they've claimed it themselves or they've been diagnosed. And I completely understand. Like, I see ADHD as a real thing. I feel like there's a spectrum of it, and I'm not trying to belittle you and take that title away from you. However, I am trying to tell you that this is not something that could be a disability for you. This is actually something that could strengthen you. A lot of people that come out and say, oh, they can't just stick to a goal, will be the same people that say, oh, well, I have ADHD, so it's hard for me to stick to one thing because my mind wanders. I tend to go off topic. A lot of people say, I can't meditate because when I sit there and meditate, my mind just wanders. And I want you to understand that that is not a bad thing. Mind wandering is a good thing if you can be accepting of it. So when the mind wanders, that's fine. We allow it. It's when you try to stop it from happening, when you try to bring it back in or tell yourself, no, stop doing that, or I have ADHD, so my mind wanders, blah, blah, blah. That's when you're bringing attention to it and you're making it seem like it's a bad thing. It's okay. Let the mind wander and then understand it, acknowledge it, be aware of it, and then reel it back in. But don't be so hard on yourself in those times as well. So say if you are on a health journey and you find yourself one day procrastinating instead of going for that walk or going to the gym and doing that workout, you stay home and you watch your favorite show instead. That's just one act in itself. But what happens is then you start to beat yourself up on it. That's okay. If that happens in that instance, you allow yourself to let that happen. You be aware of it and you move on. And the next day you go to the gym. That's fine. Okay. But what happens is we try to self-sabotage by going, oh my God, I didn't go to the gym today. Instead, I stayed home and watched my favorite show. I'm the worst person ever. I knew I wasn't good at this. I'm terrible. I have ADHD, so I can't stick to one thing, or there's no point anyway. And they get off the bandwagon. They stop trying anymore. It's one day. So what we have to do is just be accepting of it. Allow that to happen and move on. Just move on. The next day, go again. It's one day. This is a life you're creating. It's a huge lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. So we allow ourselves to let the mind wander, to procrastinate, and we be accepting of it, and then we grow from that. A lot of people are talking about mindfulness nowadays and mindfulness practices, and I want to share with you this as a tool. There is so many things that you can do with mindfulness. Yes, there's the meditations and stuff like that, those self-guided meditations. And there has been so many studies out there to show that if you can visualize the life that you want, if you can visualize your goals happening and you achieving them at the time that you want, then that is more powerful than sometimes actually even taking the steps to get there. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but there has literally been studies done where people have visualized gaining muscle over the people that actually went out and gained muscle, and they ended up getting the exact amount of muscle to the people that were just visualizing it. So that is a research paper right there. Like, I didn't make that up. So that just proves that your mind is super, super powerful. So if you start to use this as a tool, you start to sit there, maybe visualize your goal actually happening, then you have just upped it another level and you are going to get there quicker. But what I want to remind you guys is that it's okay if your mind starts to wander while you do these mindfulness practices. As I was saying, we be accepting of it. And the reason I'm so focusing on acceptance is because I literally just got off a call not long ago talking with one of my clients who we're talking about self-worth and accepting of yourself. And I feel like this happens a lot with women, and I know men as well, but my expertise is in with my women clients, obviously, but a lot of mothers, like, we just feel we start to lose ourselves. A lot of mothers do, not everyone, but a lot of mothers start to lose themselves after they have kids, start to lose their identity, and they start to lose their self-worth. And then they start doing everything for everyone else, and they forget what they love to do anymore, who they are. And then they, at the end of the day, just start feeling that they're not worth it. The reason why I keep bringing up accepting those parts of yourself when you get off track with something is because the more that you can accept yourself and love yourself, the quicker and easier your journey to that goal, that end destination, is going to be. There was a study that was done on mindfulness and acceptance, and they had two different groups, and they had three groups because there was a control group that didn't do anything. But then the other two groups, there was one group that would practice mindfulness. So they would say, do a meditation or something like that, but they wouldn't practice the accepting part. So if their mind started to wander, they weren't taught how to be okay with that, how to be non-judgmental of that, and how to love that themselves even if that occurs. They were just told about the focus part. So they were doing only the focus training. They weren't doing the full focus and the accepting part of the mindfulness training. And what they found at the end of the study is that the people who learnt to accept their thoughts and accept their feelings and not just observe them, they actually felt happier at the end of the day, and even in that moment, compared to the people that just did the focus training. So they literally just focused on the task at hand. Both the mindfulness group, so both of those groups, they did boost their feelings and they did feel better at the end of the day and had less negative thoughts. But it was the people who were more accepting of themselves had bigger results. So at the end of the day, imagine if you start accepting yourself with whatever goal you've laid out for yourself. So I just want to relay this to you. Okay, let's go over a little bit what we were talking about. I want you to create a habit, and by doing that, to show up consistently with just showing up and being okay with no matter what happens. If you're not feeling great that day, you still show up. If you're not wanting to do it that day, you really can't be bothered, you show up. Because the more you show up, the more you will prove to yourself and your mind that you are capable of this. But I also want you to practice acceptance. Accepting of yourself on the days that you aren't feeling so good. And accepting of yourself on the days that say you didn't end up doing what you wanted to do. And knowing and forgiving yourself and knowing that you will end up doing it the next day. It's okay. Those are the key things in making sure you stick to your goals and you stay on track, because we get way too caught up in the mind. I also want you to practice the 5-minute rule. So when you start to feel like you're about to procrastinate, so you're doing something else, so you start scrolling on your phone, I want you to tell yourself, okay, I will scroll on my phone for the next 5 minutes and then I will go back to it. You should set a timer, I actually think. And that allows you to do the action that you're taking. So you're on your phone, you're scrolling, but only 5 minutes. You give yourself 5 minutes and then you're back to the task that you want to do. You're back to the thing. And as soon as that alarm goes off, it reminds you, it goes, okay, I did it. I allowed myself to have that 5 minute break and now I'm back to it. And this is also, that kind of ties in what they call the Pomodoro technique. So I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there is the Pomodoro technique where you actually, if you want to do a certain task, so sometimes I do this if I'm creating podcast episodes, if I'm creating emails, doing my website, like, or doing some client work, what I'll do is I'll set a timer for 20 minutes. So I'll work for 20 minutes. And then once that 20 minutes is up, I give myself a 5 minute break. In that 5 minute break, I will actually go off and do something else. So I won't scroll on my phone because I've just been at a screen. I've just been sitting there. What I need to do is I stand up, I go for a walk around the house, in my bedroom, look out the window. If you can step outside in that 5 minutes, bonus. Or you just sit there and you just don't think about a thing. You just close your eyes and sit there. And then you get back to work, and it helps you stay back on track, and it helps you get the work that you want to get done. It's such a good tool. Anyway, wrapping up, though, I want you to remember that if you've set yourself a big goal this year, you can achieve it. There is nowhere in this world that says you can't. The only person that is telling you can't is yourself. So the biggest work that you really have to do is work on your mind. And this is what I tell my clients all the time. I love helping you create a healthy lifestyle, figure out what foods work for you, create some really good healthy snack ideas, understand your body on another level, and really eat to your hormonal cycle. But that all doesn't matter if you start self-sabotaging with creating negative thoughts and feelings like you're not good enough, because that will eat away at you more than any junk food or any sort of hormonal imbalance. It's actually, your thoughts will actually do more damage. So I really want you to be aware of your thoughts, be accepting of those thoughts, and as I said before, moving on and knowing that you're going to show up the next day and try again. This is the biggest mindset work that has helped me over the last 3 years of starting up my own business. And anyone out there, anyone that you see that has a business, they are always working on things like this. So whatever goal it is this year, I believe that you 100% can achieve it. You just have to believe it, and you have to envision it, and you have to create the life that you want. It's up to you. But if you need help, I am also here for you, and I will support you the whole way on your journey. Like, I truly believe in empowering each other. Like, there is no competition here. So try one technique this week, whether it's the Pomodoro technique, whether it's the 5 minute hack. And if this episode hit home for you, please leave a rating or review. It means more to me than you'll ever know. Reach out. I have some availability coming up for one-to-one. If you want to chat first, I'm always available for a free Zoom chat where we can go through a few things and see what it really is that you need in your life. I don't just work on women's hormones and nutrition. I also work on mindset. So it's a full holistic package when you're working with me, okay? It's my passion, and I really don't believe that you can work on one without the other. So with that, I will leave you. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.